Welcome to the Heart-Led Business Show, where compassion meets commerce and leaders lead with love. Join your host, Tom Jacobs, as he delves into the insightful conversations with visionary business leaders who defy the status quo, putting humanity first and profit second. From heartfelt strategies to inspiring stories, this podcast is your compass in the world of conscious capitalism. So buckle up and let your heart guide your business journey.
Welcome, wonderful listeners, to another exhilarating episode of the Heart-Led Business Show. So get ready to meet the maestro of marketing magic, Phil Risher. As the brilliant brain behind Phlash Consulting, Phil doesn't just help local service businesses shine. He's like a sales spark plug, firing them up from 3 million to a roaring 5 million in just 24 months. Today, we'll dive into his heart-led journey, exploring the symphony of success that resonates through his consulting expertise. So grab your headphones and prepare for a heartwarming chat that could spark your own business brilliance. Phil, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I love the intro. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. And try to get through it in one take, usually.
Exactly.
But Phil, I'm really excited to talk to you today because I know marketing is a big thing in helping small businesses and service-based businesses. And a lot of people think, well, how does the heart come into that? But we're going to definitely get some heart into this one. But of course, the first question I always like to ask is, what's your definition of a heart-led business?
For sure. So, Tom, I would say that there are three main wins that I look at that I strive for every day. I want our clients to win. I want our team to win, team members to be successful and win. And I want the business to win and be profitable. And those are the three things from a heart-led business. If you can do those three things, there's no way that you don't feel like you're operating from a place of abundance and purpose. And for me, that's what I strive for every day.
I love that. I've not heard that yet, but win-win across the board.
There you go. 3 wins.
3 wins. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't really think, they think about, okay, winning for the customer, winning for the business, not necessarily always the employees, but they're the ones that are taking care of their clients. So
That's right.
How did you come up with that philosophy?
Yeah, I was doing about, I was 2-3 years into my business. We were doing about 300,000 revenue, a virtual assistant. And I was like, okay, I was making $100,000 personally. And I was like, good, decent living, right? I was like 30 years old. And I'm like, okay, this is good. One of my friends that I worked with for 10 years at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we were both branch managers. We were in the trainee program. She was doing pharmaceutical sales. And she reached out to me and said, Phil, can I put you down as a reference? I'm looking to apply other places. Like, I haven't had a good situation. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what if I could create a situation where she could experience what I'm experiencing, which is flexibility in my schedule, making 6 figures, helping people grow their business. And I already know that she has the work ethic and can do it. So she came on as a consultant and she scaled up to making 6 figures at plus and having all this great things. So I guess what it came about was like, I had this great thing that I had built personally, but then I knew that I had someone that I knew that could do it and I could help them build it. And then slowly it evolved from there. Like, I had a team member that came on making 60,000 at the last position, and now she makes double that. And so it's like, you have the case studies of your clients, but then you could also have case studies of your team members as well. And it's like both. You can have both.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And like I said, when those employees are well taken care of, they're taking care of the clients. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A big unlock for me was implementing performance pay in my company. Everyone in our company is performance pay. When we get new clients, everyone makes money. When we lose clients, everyone loses money.
Huh.
And it allows it to have almost like this self-managing company where they're incentivized. They want clients. They want to keep clients. They're excited to get new clients. And they're fighting for that all the time. And it's a beautiful thing as a business owner to have that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard to have a salaried employee to really feel the pain that a lot of business owners feel when there's that ebb and flow. And I love that.
Yeah.
Everybody shares.
One of the conversations that we have when they first come on is that we all get to participate in the upside. We get to participate in the win, and they have no downside. I'm the only one that's taking on the downside, right? Like, they get a base pay plus they get all the upside. So it's a great opportunity for them to come in and win and make all the upside. And I'm taking all the risk on my side. And I acknowledge that right up front with everyone.
Yeah. No, it's good to be transparent like that too. Because I think a lot of employees have that employee mindset. And so they're like, yeah, if I get a steady paycheck, owner here must get a steady paycheck as well.
Yeah, so we just talked about this actually in our quarterly kickoff meeting. We do every single quarter where we have a kickoff, and I share with them our reserves, so our retained earnings, and I let them know that we have 3 months of expenses set aside for the business.
Nice.
So you may think we're generating all this money over here, but I'm building a healthy business. We have to hire new people. We have to have reserves so that way everyone can stay paid if we lose clients.
Yeah.
So just so y'all know, imagine, do the math. There's a lot of people here, 18 people. Do the math. We have 3 months sitting aside for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's somebody sees that, it can be it, and having that transparency is really important, because if they have never owned a business of their own before, it's difficult to conceptualize what that really means. It's just, oh, you got all this money. What are you doing? You should pay me more.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So tell me about your journey into the current situation that you're in right now.
Yeah, I started out of college at Enterprise, like I mentioned, in their management trainee program. Yeah,
There.
so I worked there for 7 years, and I was a branch manager. So I ran a branch. It was about $3 million business. I got paid off the bottom line, off the P&L as a branch manager through their trainee program.
Okay.
I was about 25 at that point. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said, the number one skill you can learn is how to sell. And up until that point, I learned how to manage a business and get paid off the bottom line. I was one of the top branch managers. So I went to Enterprise and I said, I want to learn how to sell. So they said, one of the best sales programs that we have is in our corporate office, where you sell to home service businesses like HVAC, plumbers, electricians. You sell them fleet management services. So they have fleets of vehicles.
Yeah.
Enterprise will help them manage their fleet.
Nice.
So my job was to set up appointments with these $10 million home service businesses, $100 million home service business, and pitch them on fleets. At the same time, my background that I love, my passion, is personal finance. So I paid off my student loans. I actually bought a condo with cash when I was 25.
Wow.
And yeah, so I was like getting after it.
Yeah.
And so my wife is a kindergarten teacher, and her friends were like, how did you pay off your student loans? How did you do all this stuff? So I started a blog about personal finance. And I had no idea. This was in 2015. I had no idea about building a WordPress website, doing SEO, email marketing, like none of this stuff. So I started just writing, no ChatGPT back then, right? I started writing 3 blog posts per week, like by hand. This is how you budget. This is how you do this. I would share my spreadsheets and everything. And I stumbled upon something, which was, if you want to get recognition, if you want to get people to your website, you need to get recognized places. So I got featured in Forbes and CNBC and Yahoo Finance and all this cool stuff. And I had 30, 40,000 people to my website every single month.
Wow.
And I would go to these meetings with these home service business owners, and they would say, tell me a little about yourself. I'm like, I got lots to say. I was just on Forbes. I was just featured on Forbes. I'm like, This is an interesting sales call.
Yeah.
And I started building a relationship with these guys. And I didn't like what I was selling. So I left my job at Enterprise and I bought a school bus and I made a little tiny home. And I traveled around the country making content and sharing my story and just doing fun stuff for a couple of months, because I was like debt-free, having fun, whatever, making content, doing the influencer thing. This was back in 2017, before influencer type stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
So I didn't even know what influencing
bus.
was. Yeah, in my bus. Yeah, my dog and I in a bus, traveling around this blue bus, making content, just like living life, hiking, all that.
Yeah.
So my wife is a kindergarten teacher, mind you. She's like a rule follower. So she's, what are you doing? You're crazy. You're crazy. As most business owners, right? That's how it is.
Yeah.
So when I came back into town from that trip, one of my clients that I sold fleet management to was a $3 million home service business. And he was like, hey, I need someone to help me grow my business. And you seem like you're getting after it. So could you come help me?
Yeah.
So I went to work there. And then in the first month, all my worlds collided. My enterprise experience of running a $3 million business and getting paid off the bottom line, plus my marketing experience of getting website traffic, turning it into leads, email marketing, and everything. It was just like, he'd been stuck at 3 million for 3 years. And within the first year, he went 3 to 4 million and 300,000 in profit to 900,000 in profit.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was basically like takeoff time. So that's how I got into home service and marketing and what we do. The part that I switched over to Phlash was after a year. So he was $4 million. EBITDA profit was around $1 million. I'm like, I wasn't even paid any performance pay. Whenever I go into something, I just get after it. Right. So I'm like on his tail, buddy. We need to get more technicians. We need to do this. And I'm making $1 million. Leave me alone. But
Right.
this is a dream come true that I'm actually making money and like, this is working. So leave me alone. So we had a meeting at Chili's and he's, hey, you're fired. You need to go start your own business. You're going to call it Phlash Consulting. And I'm going to introduce you to 2 of my friends and I'll be your first client and they'll be your 2 friends. Charge them $50 an hour and you'll make $100,000 and you're all good. And that was 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a story and journey as well.
Yeah,
So
man.
that must have been quite a lunch at Chili's.
We would meet at Chili's, but to be honest with you, it was like, you're doing $4 million and you're making $1 million a year. And if you don't want to go for the gusto and you have someone who's roaring on your team, he did me a huge solid, which was,
Yeah.
he was like, hey, go out and start your own business. I'll be your first client and I'll give you the icing on top. He was my client for the next year or 2 and he went to 5 million and then sold to private equity. And
Oh,
I sat in all the conversations with the private equity company and explained everything that we do to the T. So like he did right by me and I did right by him. And it was like a perfect, we're still friends to this day. And I think it goes to show like that whole team mentality of everyone can win here.
yeah.
Everyone can win here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure obviously profit is a big part of that. But if that was the sole thing that you were looking at, it probably would have come out a little bit different. Or do you agree with that?
Yeah. The thing was like, I knew the impact I was making on his business, right? And I wasn't even making 6 figures. So I'm like, hey, like I know that I should be making more than this, right?
Yeah.
But I also know that you don't necessarily have to pay me because you own the business. Let's figure out how we can make this a win-win situation. And he was like, hey, you should be a consultant, charge $50 an hour. You make $100,000 and here's your clients and go do this. And you can help me still.
Yeah. That takes heart and courage and all of that. So what makes your business now heart-led?
Yeah. So a big focus for us over the last 2 years was buying back my time. And it's something that I struggle with a lot, which was how can I be heart-led when I'm not touching all the clients? How can I be heart-led when someone comes to me and says, I need something and I'm like, I can't help you? Is that heart-led or is it not? So it's something that I really struggle with a lot. And now where we're at is that I have a team of people that I care about, but they also have the ability to act on their own. And so some of the things that we do, like I have a weekly one-to-one with the team members and I ask them about their personal goals, their actual business goals, like what are we doing? And we set goals for them. And they know that I have their back. But also, just like in my opinion, my business is like a kid where it's like, I need to let them fail so that way they grow up, my business. And being heart-led, it doesn't just mean coddling them and trying to like make it all kumbaya, just like a kid.
Right.
So it's like, I've had to shift that a lot in my mind. It was usually like when I got to around $1 million, the hustler had to die and the leader had to be born. Leader for me was like, I need to let this thing fail. And if it fails, I need to be there to catch it, just a kid would. And you can still love the kid, but let it fail.
Yeah. That must have taken a lot to make that shift from hustle to lead. What was that like for you and how long did it take?
Yeah, there's 2 parts to it. One is the personal finance piece because I paid off my mortgage and then like set myself up personally. So that way I could come from a place of abundance. So I did that before I killed the hustler. People are going through all this and there's the money part to it that feels, oh my gosh. So for me, I did it. It took me 7 years, right? But I got the personal stuff out of the way first and then I shifted. It took me a good 2.5 years to fully get to the point. There's a great book called Buy Back Your Time from Dan Martell. And he has this 5-rung replacement ladder of hire an executive assistant, get delivery in place, get marketing in place, get sales in place, get management. And I just hired a salesperson about 6 months ago. So it wasn't founder-led sales anymore. But it took me a good 2 years to get to that point. The 2 big hurdles for me were, one, I had a scarcity mindset and I was nervous that I could take this money and put it into an index fund and be wealthy, right? More wealthy. Or I could take this money and invest it in my business and buy back my time and build a business that was wealthy as well. But I don't know if that's going to work or not. So I had to overcome that and make that decision. And then the second thing was, since everything was founder led and like I had systems, but they were in my head and on paper. Every single person that I hired took a good 6 months to get them up to speed. Like a director of digital marketing, 6 months. A salesperson, 6 months. Because I didn't have any systems for anyone to like even train on or fall back on. We were building them as we went. And so that's why it took so long to do. But now it would be a lot faster if I needed to replace them because I have the systems built.
Yeah. So getting the systems would you say is like the number one thing a business owner should really focus on is systemizing the business?
Yes, but you can't when you build a system, it's almost like you have to have someone who's there to execute the system to know if it works. I could tell you, build the system, but then unless you have someone executing it and it's not working and you can't like fix the system in real time, it's hard to say, yes, build a system. So of
Right.
course, build a system, but take the next step and execute the system with someone else and see how they do and get that feedback loop.
Yeah, yeah. That's how we build out our SOPs is the person who's doing it will, and now obviously with AI and screen recording and all that, it makes it
Yes.
so much easier to build out SOPs. That's one thing that I learned early on, probably not early enough for me, but when I had my fitness business that I sold in 2018, it was I took a lot of time off in the last half of owning it, and it was only because I had systems in place that the business was able to run and grow without me there all the time. One thing that really stuck in my head of why systems are so important. I got a call one morning from one of the trainers that opened up the gym at 5 a.m. I get a call at 5
Yeah.
a.m. Hey, Tom, how do you turn on the AC? It's really hot in the gym. I'm like, how do you not know how to turn on the AC? I was like, we need a process. We need an opening checklist. So that was my first process is an opening checklist. Unlock the
Yeah.
door, turn on the radio, turn on the AC.
Yeah. We had a similar situation. We just hired a automations engineer and she made a mistake in her first week. And so of course you could go to that person and say, well, why did you not do this? How did you do this? But what we do is we go through and say, question one, did we have a process for this?
Yep.
And in this specific situation, we did not have a process for this. So
Yeah.
I went to her and apologized. I said, I set you up to fail. I put you in a Michelin star kitchen and I didn't give you any recipe and I expected you to make what I wanted. So like, do
Yeah.
you have a process? Is the process correct? Have you
Yeah.
gone through the process with them? Then it's like, why did you not follow the process? But
Right.
you got to start with the process instead of getting mad at the person.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a mentor. Maybe it was a book that I read was always when you're having a difficult discussion or a performance issue, I always start with process before people
Mm.
because it's usually the process
Yeah,
or the people aren't following the process. So then you can have those better conversations.
exactly.
Yeah. When you're growing the business and you're stepping away or you're getting out of the hustle and you're instilling other people, how do you make sure that they have the same values and the heart-led philosophy that you have as a founder?
Yeah. I would say one is performance pay, first and foremost. It was very important because it allowed me to step away and then we still had aligned incentives, which is do great work, make sure the customer's happy. Like that's like on the forefront of a lot of people's fear is that they're not going to care as much as me.
Right.
So when you give them skin in the game, there's a quote on this from a guy named Tommy Mello, and he says that if you want to put a cap on someone's performance, then put a cap on their pay. If you don't want to put a cap on their performance, don't put a cap on their pay. And
Yeah.
it allows you to think differently. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I would say core values, but a little less foo-foo than what most people say with core values. And it's more like the act of inserting core values into your business. The act of not just like labeling them and saying them, but like a perfect example, we just had to fire someone.
Mm.
And the reason was because they did not show a core value that we have as a company. And when we fired them, I did a Loom video and put it in our all team Slack and explained why that person is no longer working here. And it's because they were not exhibiting this core value that we have as a company. And it allowed us to reinforce the core value.
Yeah.
Also, every Thursday in our all team, the company gets a video or a message from me about one of the core values and how they can show that. And same thing, we shout people out on core values. So what we've done is try to bake it into our thing, not just like say, oh, core values, foo-foo, whatever. But it's like,
Yeah.
if you work here, then this is what you do. And if you don't do these things, then you're not a we, so you can't work here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we see in companies all the time, you see the poster up in the break room of these are our core values. But if you ask an employee outside of the break room where they can't see it, most of them aren't going to know what the core values are.
Yeah, exactly. We put it in an acronym for Phlash. So the first one's partnership, for example. And
Okay.
then it's easy to remember, and then people can call it out, and then we shout people out. We actually just had our leadership meeting right before we recorded this, and we're launching a quarterly core value award where we're going to recognize someone on our quarterly meetings. So trying to just make it fun, bake it in, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. That's really good advice. As you're building a heart-led business and profits are coming in, there's certainly times I'm sure you've had where you had to make a choice between making a profit or leading by your heart. How do you make those hard decisions?
Yeah, we use Profit First. Mike McAllowicz has a great book
Yep,
called Profit
love it.
First, which,
Yep.
yeah, essentially you have different buckets. You put your money in different buckets and you have profit. Now, about 6 months ago, we hit our 3 months reserves fully, and then we have a surplus of profit on top.
Nice.
Before, I would take a percentage of the distribution of profits. Usually I'd leave 30% in retained earnings, take the other distribution out as the owner.
Yep.
But now I'm at the point personally and professionally where I'm analyzing, what makes the most sense to invest in the business or outside, and how do I split that up?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm actively taking that profit and redistributing back into my business and doing things to help me grow the business. Because what has happened is that I've brought on these people that are very hungry into my business on performance pay.
Yeah.
And so I have to feed them, right? I got to feed the monster that I created. And it's a good thing, but I can't say one thing to them and then not execute the other way. I can't tell them like, your performance pay, but I'm taking all this money out and I'm not going to reinvest back in the business. So hopefully, good luck. It's a balance for me. So that would be the one part. The other thing would be that when you have profit, let me say it like this. Something that I struggled with was that I thought that making money was a sin or bad. And I thought that it was bad to say that I want to make more money because I'm good, right? I'm content, right?
Yeah.
There's a really good book on this. It's called Thou Shalt Prosper. It's by a rabbi. And what it helped me reframe in my mind is that it's actually, I'm a Christian, but as a person of faith, it's my job to make money. Like it's not about that making money is bad. It's that you make money and then you can do whatever you want with it, right? You're actually called to make money. You're called to multiply your talents and not hide them under a rock.
Yeah.
So when that unlocked for me, it was like, oh, let's go. Let me go make as much money as possible. And then I can do whatever I want with it. And I say all that because when you have profit, you can do extraordinary things for your team. One woman has a bad back. We sent her $1,000 chair to help her with her back. You can do things for people. Someone else had surgery. We sent them some nice stuff, right? We had to fire this woman. We gave her, and she's not even in the US. We gave her a month's severance pay, right? Like we can act with grace for people that would never even come in contact with us. They're not even in the US, that don't even eat all this stuff. And I think that it just allows you to do so much when you have profit, so you don't feel tight. You can't give when your hands clenched like this.
Yeah. Yeah. That scarcity mindset just really messes with people. Yeah.
Exactly.
I grew up with the same kind of money mindset of money is the root of all evil. And it's how rich people do this. That it's hard to get that out of your soul and out of your mind. But it's it's definitely something that people need to really work on, is a relationship with money, and knowing that when you make more money, you can do better things for more people because of that.
Yeah, the impact that you can make when you actually have money is what it's about. And one of the big things for me was I paid off my student loans. I bought a condo with cash. I paid off all this debt. I was in the very defensive mind, always playing defense. I never was really playing offense to maximize the money potential. So it was a beautiful thing because when I'm good at playing defense, and a lot of people are not good at playing defense. So when I switched to the other side of offense, it was like, okay, this is all go mode. And I think when you think about money like that, so maybe you got to play some defense, maybe you got to play some offense. What are you better at? And then get some some checks and balances in for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah, cool. Phil, this has been just a fascinating conversation. And I'm really glad that we connected and were able to get you on the show. How can people learn more about Phlash Consulting and all the great work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, for sure. So we do digital marketing consulting for home service businesses, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. That same company that I took from 3 million to 5 million and sold to private equity, we help companies that want to sell or build great businesses that want to scale multi-seven figures do that. So I took all those playbooks and then now we do that for home service businesses. So if that's, you can go to Phlash Consulting. It's PHLASH consulting.com. You can click discuss your business. We have like over 50 5-star reviews from discovery calls with us. So it's like, we're not trying to sell you the dream or anything. But also, if you're like, hey, Phil, you're a cool dude. I hang out on LinkedIn, Phil Risher, and Instagram, Phil Risher. You can always connect with me there. I'm happy to be a resource.
Awesome. Thanks for that. And thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your wisdom and your thoughts with us today. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Tom.
Absolutely. And thank you, show audience, for tuning in for today's episode. Check out everything that Phil's doing, and we're going to put that down into the show notes. So make sure you go down there and check that out in the show notes. And while you're down there might be a little button for a review. And I certainly would appreciate if you would give us a rating and review, so that it just spreads the word more about the Heart-Led Business Show. And for those that are wanting to have a heart-led business, but not quite sure how to do that. And until next time, lead with your heart.
You've been listening to the Heart-Led Business Show, hosted by Tom Jacobs. Join us next time for another inspiring journey into the heart of business.